We should be live now. Got about 2 minutes to go. Just streaming a little early. Oh, just 1 minute, 60 seconds. All right, but yeah, welcome to lesson 10. I'll be covering custom user interface today and macros, which if you don't know what either one of those are, you're in the right place. I will explain all of it. This will be a really quick one, probably like 15 minutes. And then after that, open up Q&A. Like always, you can always, what was I going to say? I just saw someone say you are in the chat and I'm like, I am what? Anyway, you can always put in questions from any lesson. Just letting you guys know. Yeah, hello, Anastasia. I'm hoping it's not a sound or a video issue. I guess we'll find out. I just said you are. I'm great.
You are great.
I'm great. Ricky's hanging out in the background. All right, got a few more seconds here. I have the live chat up so I can see it. I won't be answering questions probably until... So sorry you were live. Yeah, don't worry. Let's see. All right, it is 6. Before I jump to it, Honest Abe, if there is a video or an audio issue, do feel free to post that now. But if not, I'm just gonna get started. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna show you guys what to do is how to make a custom user interface. So this is what you see when you first open up ZBrush. You have Lightbox down here, all that good stuff. I'm gonna go up to preferences here and I'm going to restore my custom UI just so you guys see it. This is what I have for my custom UI. So there's a lot of just, pretty much this is all stuff that I like. So let me open up a sphere just so this looks more normal to me. Here we go. These are all buttons that I use. So I have all the brushes I like to use down here. I have a couple buttons that I custom made. Those are macros. And then I have my frame mesh, the remesher, all stuff that I use constantly, easy access. For example, if I wanted to grab the backface mask button, I would normally have to go to brush, auto masking, and then backface mask. So that was like, see that button, you see it way over here, also popping up. It just takes so much longer to go through and get what I want. So it's very nice to be able to make your UI exactly how you want. Bam. So let's do this. I'm gonna restore the standard UI, that way it's more familiar for you guys. And let's customize this to look cool. So preferences, config. That's where you go to get your UI. So if you click enable customize, it's gonna scrunch up your screen a little bit. I don't know why, it's a ZBrush thing. It will go back to normal after you click enable customize again. So now that you click this button, you're just telling ZBrush, hey, I'm gonna change things. So pay attention, essentially is what it's saying. It's very unintuitive. So the way that you move things around is you hold the buttons Control and Alt at the same time. If you're on a Mac or Apple product, it'll be Command and Alt. So if I hold this and move it around, let go, that's how I move. If I hold it and drag it to the center here, it disappears. So what's kind of cool is you can add new stuff. So I can go to Subtool and say if I want to have a convenient delete button, there we go, now I have a delete button. You can expand these and collapse them. I can put a larger button here and it will auto size. I want to make sure that my canvas here, where my 3D model is as big as possible. That's how I like to work. So what I do is usually I go over here and I just drag all of these away because I don't need them. Bam, my canvas is bigger now, which is awesome. And then it's really easy. Once you've moved this around to what you like, you just go to preferences, enable customize. There you go. This is what it's going to look like. I want to show you one more thing before I show you how to save this, because if you want to know how to get those brushes, you can't pull up the brush palette and drag. I don't know why. That'd be too easy. You go to brush, and here you go. Any of these brushes here, you can very easily click and you can drag them. If it doesn't have the brush that you want, I would just click on it and then grab the one you want, then it's gonna show up there. It's not like the prettiest way of doing it, but that's where I grabbed my brushes that I needed. You could also, once you have the brush here, edit it from there as well. This is a bad example because it's a trim rectangle brush, but usually you can edit these directly as well. But I normally just drag what I want. Or you can delete whatever you want. I have a very simple canvas. My custom UI is as simple as possible. But anyway, to save this, go to Preferences, click off of Enable Customize, and then Store Config. I'm not going to do that because it'll ruin my UI. I don't want to do that. If you don't want to store it, so that's what you see every time you open. Say, for example, if you have a sculpting UI and a modeling UI, they're totally different ways. Sculpting is like using clay buildup brush and move like you're working with clay. Modeling is like, I'm going to make a car. So you're working with specific poly groups. It's different approaches. You might want different UIs. So what you can do is you could save it. And then here you go. This is actually my custom UI in the ZBrush folders. No, it's not. It is in ZBrush. Here, Patreon rewards, ZBrush files. There we go. I have a colors version. That's my pink and black one. I'll show you that in a bit. But here you go. You can save it, and then you can, by contrast, you go to preferences and click load, and you can grab it from there as well. So again, ZBrush files, there's my stuff. I'll actually click on this and show you guys. Here we go. There's my custom UI. Now, in case you were wondering, this is more of a side thing for aesthetics. My UI is super awesome in black and pink because those are my favorite colors. I'll show you guys how you can do that as well. So if you go to preferences and go to eye colors, here you go. As you can see, everything is black and pink because that's what I picked. I'll show you what it does here. Click on main and then just drag. So you click on the box you want to change and then you drag around. And whatever your picker is on is what it's going to be. So on my screen right now, I have white, I have this green here. Oh, it doesn't work on that. I have pink, black. So that's all. You're limited because you only have the colors that are on your screen. So a really easy workaround when you're doing colors, just go to your color palette and then just dock it over here. That's it. So I clicked on color and I clicked on that little like circle with a line through it. And now I have an entire color picker right there. So now if I go to preferences, eye colors, I have the entire wheel to do whatever I want with. So that's what I recommend doing. There you go. And then the way to save this, like the same thing, so it is UI, you just click save UI colors and there you go, it'll save it. Pretty nifty. If you really just don't know what UI you want or what colors you want, this is kind of a really quick, easy way. If I click on this button up here, it will change the color, which can be kind of nice, just cycle through different options. And then the one with a bunch of boxes will change the UI. I don't like any of these, but you guys might. I've never, like this UI has no buttons. I don't even know how you would use this. Anyway, some people are magic, not me. Anyway, so there's a bunch of different options here and color options. You guys can play with that and see what's going to work best for you guys. So let me go back to preferences, config, and give you guys my custom UI one more time, because that concludes the section of the custom UI bit. Took me 6 minutes to explain. This is gonna be quick. But again, I'm going very quickly. So if you have questions, if you're in the future, message me in Discord. If you're here live, ask questions live. I'm opening up Q&A in just a little bit. All right, now that we're here, you'll notice that some of these buttons don't exist. Divide, no shrink isn't a real thing, and panel loops isn't a real thing. I made those buttons myself. So I wanna show you guys how I streamline my process. So I have this dog here. I did not make this. This is a default in ZBrush. If I want to make a collar, what I would do is I would turn on symmetry. There we go. And I'd hold control to mask. That's good enough. And I go to subtool and I click extract. Make sure it's 0 thickness. And there we go. Now I have a collar and it looks really weird and I'll explain why in a second. Here we go. See how it's like see-through and hollow? So the reason for that is because, again, there's 0 thickness. I like to do it that way because the poly groups are really easy to manage, and most importantly, I can then add a really cool trim to it. The stuff in there right now is important. I'm just doing this so I can get to the part where I teach you guys what's important. My whole point for this is I'm gonna show you guys a process when I make something like this that makes it way faster. So all these buttons, there we go. Now what's cool is if I go to stroke and go to frame mesh, I can then add like little straps to it, which is awesome. So I can have a little trim on the collar. So eventually I need to add thickness, and adding thickness takes a lot of time because it's just a lot of button clicks. So that's what I wanted to show you guys what the issue was. I'm trying to get rid of the frame mesh here, but it's being picky. Please stop. All right, there we go. All right, because if it's no thickness, it won't 3D print, right? So what I have to do is I end up going to geometry tab here and I go to edge loop. Where's my edge loop? There it is. And then panel loops. I will change thickness, polish, loops, bevel, elevation, and a few other things. That's a lot of button clicks. And I do that every single time I try to add thickness in like this. I don't want to do that. So I made it into a button. So that's called a macro. So let's do it. The way you make your own buttons is you go to macro, new macro. It says this. It says, if not sure, press yes. No, press no. I'm not going to explain why. Just press no. You don't need to press yes. It's going to cause a bunch of issues with initializing ZBrush, and you really just don't need it. All right. Anyway, so now I have a macro being recorded. It says right here on the upper left, it said macro recording. And now I'm going to do what I normally do. So I went to Edge Loop, and I'm going to get rid of my polish, get rid of my bevel. I'm also going to change loops to 2. And then elevation, -100. So -100 means it will be adding thickness towards the inside, not the outside. Because I don't want to make a big chunky color. I just want to look the same, but with thickness going in. Okay. So yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted. Normally I would delete lower and higher subdivision levels just in case, but not for this example. This is just make panel loops. And then now click panel loops. Now look at it. There we go. I now have thickness. That was a lot of sliders and button clicking though. So if I click macro again and macro, it's going to pull up your files here. Now you got to go to ZBrush. I will show you how to do this. Click on this PC and then find wherever ZBrush is at. Usually it's under Windows in either Program Files or x86. For me, it is under just Program Files. ZBrush 2020. And then where is macros? Usually it brings up macros right away, but I guess ZBrush is going to try and be tricky with me today. It knows I'm live streaming. It smells fear. Okay. I never have to do this because it's usually there. Anyway, one of these folders is just going to say macros, usually under ZData. If you can't find something, like I can't find something right now, you can just search it and type in macro in this case, and it will show up. There we go, macros. So here's macros. If you click on MISC, you'll see all the buttons I have made. Here's panel loops. So it saves as a text file. So literally every button click you do is just words to ZBrush, and that's all it's saving. So I'm not going to save over it, but let's pretend I typed in what I wanted, so panel loops, and click save. It's going to show up here. So there we go. I saved a macro. Now what? You're like, I have a button, but I don't know where it is. If you go to macro again, click on this underneath, yet again, macros. Here are all the buttons. You can see panel loops. There's that custom button that I made. And in case you forgot, if I want to put that on my UI, just go to Preferences, Config, Enable Customize. Macro, holding Control and Alt, and you drag it over there. So that's exactly how I did that. I did the same thing for Divide No Shrink. In case you're curious what that means, if you divide something in ZBrush, so just add more polygons to it. So there you go, here's a color. What it does is it will shrink it a bunch sometimes. Let's see if it does. This is a good example. That wasn't too bad. So yeah, it shrinks a little bit. If I click my custom divide no shrink, it lost way less volume in that case. That's just a little side thing. It's a button I made because it was bothering me. It's a little weird to do, get these morph targets and stuff, but it's a cool macro to have made. But yeah, so that's my overview on how to customize your UI and then make macros. I know I went through macros a little quickly. Just know you click new macro, do everything you want, end macro, save it in the macro folder. I had trouble finding it. I think it's in ZData. You can always just go to your ZBrush folder and search macro and it will pop up like how mine did because I forgot. If your computer is being smart, it will just open up the ZBrush macros folder for you. It's done that for me every time, except now. Anyway, once you have it saved, you go to macros and then all of your different buttons will be here. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, we're about 15 minutes in and that pretty much concludes the material I wanted to cover because I know it's dense. So custom UI, how to make it look pretty with different colors, and then how to make your own custom buttons, which is pretty cool. As of right now, I'm opening it up for different questions. I see the Abandoned is here as well. Hello. So yeah, I'm going to be here for at least 10 minutes and answering questions that you guys may have. I put the chat on the screen because there is about a 20-second lag, roughly. That way you guys don't think I'm ignoring you. It just takes a while for it to show up on my screen. I can do low latency, but it messes with the audio, and 20 seconds isn't that big of a deal usually. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for this lesson. I'm trying to think if there's anything else helpful to include. I don't think so. Next week, I plan to probably do either a hair tutorial or a custom brush tutorial. I'm holding off on the custom brush tutorial because a lot of you guys use ZBrush Core. That's so pretty. And you cannot make custom brushes in ZBrush Core. So yes. Just gonna go back to a sphere. But yeah, I'm gonna hang out for about 5 minutes. If there are no questions, I will dip. If not, I am here. And again, if you're watching this in the future, please message me in the Discord, just at M3DM, and that'll get my attention because it notifies me directly, and I'll answer your questions. So yeah, don't forget to do that. I'm really impressed with a lot of you guys. You mentioned like what lessons you've watched and then what you've made, and it's really cool for me to see. It's very, very nice. And I say this every time, but you don't need to ask questions relevant to the lesson I just did. It can be anything related to ZBrush. So yeah, or sculpting in general. I don't know a whole about Blender, and I actually have never sculpted something by hand. I mean, I played with Play-Doh as a kid, but I don't know if that really counts. So if you ask me traditional sculpting techniques, I'll just be like, use ZBrush. Now that I'm reading the chat, I understand. Because I started this off with, oh, I should be live now. And then honestly, I've said, you are. I understand now. I am live. The band said, quick boot tutorial. You know, I'd love to, but oh my god, I'm god-awful at shoes. That's a bad answer. I'm a professional. Let me give you a better answer. Sure. All right, this is what I'd recommend. Shoes are like the bane of my existence. I recommend just taking a shoe off a Thingiverse and modifying it because it has a sole done and it just makes it less painful. I like shoes in real life. Shoes are cute and whatever. Okay. I think you are the same person who posted the Discord of the character you're working on. Very cool, by the way. But yeah, you had the right approach where it was masking something off and extracting it. This is definitely a way to do that. What you didn't do though, I think that would make it more helpful, is doing Z-Remesher. Z-Remesher is under Geometry and Subtool Palette. This is going to reduce the amount of polygons that you have and make it easier to manipulate the overall shape. On Save says, I'm really excited for the hair one next week, so for my models are bald. Okay, that solidifies it. I'm doing hair next week, because now someone's excited about it. I just wasn't sure. All right. The band said, yes, I am. Awesome. I think the character reference you had was really cool, and I was very happy to see you using a reference. A lot of people are just like, I'm going to sculpt from my imagination. And I'm like, that's cool, but you probably don't know what things look like as much as you think you do. Okay, so this is my very sad looking boot so far. I've just added a bit of a toe. But again, Z-Remesher made this so much easier. Again, that's under Geometry, Z-Remesher. Here you go. The default settings are fine. I click half because it's reducing it to half the polygons. And the less polygons you have, the easier it will be to manipulate this overall shape. So there we go. I'm kind of giving him some boot shape here. That's actually a pretty good shoe shape. Damn, I struggle with this way more when I'm off camera. That looks fine, actually. Now, to make this actually look good, there's a few more things that I'd want to do this, like adding a sole, for example. Of which there's a few different ways to do it. You could either just literally append a cube, shrink this way down, flatten it out, flatten it out, and then use a move brush and drag it onto it. This is, again, oh my goodness, this is on both sides. No. I think you're getting my point here though. Creating a sole for your shoe is necessary. Otherwise, the overall shape just isn't going to read super well. Anyway, so you can do it like that by manually creating a sole, or you can do the same technique where you went through here, mask the area that you wanted, and extract it. That might be a better way to do it, but as you notice, the issue is the bottom isn't flat. So I would do this, click P to turn off perspective so it's flat, and then trim rectangle. Control-Shift will activate it, and then you have a flat bottom part of your shoe. Oh my god, these do not look that bad, actually. Yay. And then the biggest thing with shoes, the more construction lines that you show, the better it's going to look. So when you want to start adding detail to it, go to Geometry, divide a bunch of times, but not too many times. Am I on the right thing? It's not smoothing out. It's just being weird. Anyway, construction lines, what I mean by that, like there's usually like flaps. I should look at a shoe reference, but there's like, wow, not like that. There's like these pieces, you know what I mean? Like that, and then there's like where the laces are right here, and like a tongue part. Construction lines, that's all I'm trying to say. The heel right here is usually a different piece as well. There's usually a seam running right here. Yeah. Something cool about 3D modeling is you have to know how things are actually made usually in order to make them, because it makes it look much better. That's look goofy now. But you get the point. That'd be my quick shoe tutorial. A better way of doing it would be importing references to all of your planes. So for example, this bottom grid here, you can import a reference picture of the sole of the shoe and then look at that shoe and trace out exactly the sole. You could have a reference on the back here and just line it up. I hope that was helping. Honest Abe said, I trim rectangle to make a flat bottom. OMG, I mask split and deleted. That's how I used to do it too. You know, honestly, when in doubt, that does work fine. Occasionally, I do that if you want to trim things in symmetry, because the trim rectangle brushes and just trim brushes in general do not work in symmetry, much to my displeasure. You can like mirror and weld points, but okay. I hope that basic shoe tutorial was a little helpful. I'm just shocked that shoe looks decent. I swear to God, I'm so bad at shoes, honestly. I'm going to go back to a sphere or a dog, so just like some naked dude in boots. This is a little nicer to look at. Woo, dog friend. Yeah, so that was a great question. I hope that was helpful. If it wasn't, just tell me, and I'll not do it again. Actually, I don't have a better way to make shoes, guys. But I can point you to better resources and stuff like that, at the very least. I strongly recommend going to Thingiverse and looking at shoes and importing them, because having a 2D image reference is great, but having a 3D reference is even better, honestly, because you can spin it around, like really get an idea of the volume and stuff like that. The band says that works. Cool. I'm glad it was a little helpful at least. But again, any other questions you guys may have, I'm at your disposal for anything you might want to ask. And thank you guys for joining. It's always fun when people are alive. I don't mind either way. I honestly, it feels the same to me. It's just slightly less boring. Otherwise, a Q&A, it's just me sitting here for 5 minutes, like. It's really weird, like hand contraption going on here. This is my glove, and then I have like a little exercise grip for pressure on my wrist. I hold the pen like this to prevent tension in my wrist, and it works great. I have no hand cramps. And at some point, I forgot, and I went back to how I normally do it for like a day of like sculpting for 8 hours, and I like screwed up my wrist. So, wrist brace thing. Be really careful when you're modeling in your posture and the way that even the way you sit. I try like really square, good posture, support for your elbows, that kind of stuff. I might make a video on that in the future. It's honestly so important to make sure you have good posture, and artists need to treat their body just like athletes do, because we depend on them just as much. It's kind of a weird way of thinking of it, but it's very important. It is 6:22. I'm gonna hang out until 6:25, if there's no questions. If there's a question, I'll answer the question. That's what I'm here for. Save said, the first time I modeled for a significant time, my back was all knotted up. Yep. I recommend like just standing up and walking around every 15 minutes, which I know sounds like a lot. You don't have to do a lot. Just like stand up really quick, touch your toes, sit back down. Or get a standing desk. Those are the best that I have. The bandit says, once the model is done, is there anything special to make it an STL? Yes. So when you have multiple pieces and stuff, so for instance, I had like the collar. I'm just going to extract that really quick. There we go. He has not an all the way collar with symmetry. If I go through subtools and merge them down together, this is not an ideal STL because these two meshes are overlapping. So there's like two polygons taking up the same space. And the slicer will slice it, but it gets really confused and it might lead to errors. So what you want to do is go to geometry and then go to Dynamesh and just Dynamesh the whole thing together, essentially. It's thinking about it. There we go. It looks exactly the same. This is before, this is after. You can see a little difference right here, but it's pretty much exactly the same. Now they are the same object. I also have almost 1 million points. You don't want it that big because it just takes forever to export. So go to Z plugin, Decimation Master, preprocess current. This is going to prepare the mesh to reduce polygons. All it's going to do is take away polygons from areas with no detail and keep polygons where there is areas with detail. It does a really good job, actually. So it's done processing, reordering. There we go. Now go to Z plugin again for Decimation Master and click on how many polys you want. 250,000 or less is what I recommend. This one has no detail on it, so I can do 35,000 and it looks, this is the before, this is the after. It looks the same. So this is the mesh, this is the after, this is the before. You can see how different that looks, how dense it was before, and now how much better it looks. It's not for good topology, it's just to reduce your poly count. Now that you have this, go to Tool, Export. Excuse me. It'll export as an OBJ, which is fine. You can 3D print that as well. Or go to Z plugin, 3D Print Hub, and you can export as an STL. And then you're set. If you want to scale it properly, I recommend going to a third-party program like Mesh Mixer. You can go to Z plugin and it specifies your size right here. It works sometimes. If you really want to make sure your sizes are correct, don't do it that way. Use Scale Master, which is a whole other deal I never use. I just use Mesh Mixer. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. The special thing would just be to Dynamesh everything together. Eventually run into problems where Dynamesh can't handle the amount of detail that you have and it will ruin it. There are ways to fix that, but that's further down the line. You need a really detailed model for that to be a problem. But as of now, that's how you do it. Dynamesh, decimate to a smaller file size, and then export as an STL. You're set. Good question. Very good question. Can hang out for an hour. Ooh, it's 6:26. I'm glad. Like, the lessons always stretch out to longer than anticipate, which is good. I want to make sure that I'm being helpful. But yeah, if there's no follow-up questions to that, I'll probably wrap it up here. I'm going to give it like 20-30 seconds because I know there's a delay between what you guys are seeing and what I'm actually saying. I'm like kind of live. I'm close to live. The Vanna says awesome. Good. I'm glad that was helpful. Let's see. I'm also excited to see what else you make because I don't know. I think it's so cool that you're like already posting like progress pictures and stuff. Most people are really, really shy, which I was the same way. But it's really cool to see people like starting out, and the sleeves you did, the puffy sleeves, look really good actually. I like that the most, I think. And good luck on the shoes. I hate shoes. Oh look, it's a Joker. No, that movie was sad. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Mainly because I'm also really cold and I want to put on a jacket. All right, next week I'll be covering hair and showing different techniques for that. One, doing it from scratch, what I normally do, but also how to utilize a hair brush if you would like to. There's a couple of really good ones for like $2 or so. Essentially, it doesn't just do the hair for you, but you can draw like a strand at a time for very detailed models very quickly. Mostly quickly and painless. But yeah, that'll be next week. If you guys have other topics you want me to cover, feel free to put them in the Discord. I haven't written all of the lesson plans for this month. I usually do like 2 lesson plans at a time to make sure that I'm adjusting to what you guys want. But yeah, if you guys ever get lost, make sure to always reference the beginning early lessons because that covers the fundamentals and the basics. Sounds like you guys are doing that anyway, so good job. That's everything. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining.